Welcome back, or welcome if you're new here. I'm Brenda, and this is Lost Nation Maple Homestead. Hi there, we're going to be making some chicken marinades today to go into the freezer. I have 5 different recipes today that we're going to be making. Is to get the bags ready. I have these great stand holders that I use. They really work great for keeping the bag upright. I only have 3 of them, so I'm going to put one in a bowl as well. I'm going to trim my chicken. I like to cut it lengthwise down the center so that I can actually get 2 thinner split breasts out of 1 chicken breast. It just makes for easier, quicker cooking that way, and it works out really good for us. And I've always done it that way. So I bought both chicken breasts and chicken thighs. They were having a really good sale at the store in the town where I live. So I bought 2 large chicken breast packs that had 7 chicken breasts, split breasts in each one. I think that each package was about $8. And then the chicken thighs were $6 a piece, and they had about 8 to 10 boneless, skinless chicken thighs in those. So I'm trimming off the fat on the thighs. There's always a considerable more amount of fat on the chicken thighs than there is the breasts. Oftentimes I'll decide which recipe to use, either thighs or breasts, depending on which recipe it is. The thighs tend to be a lot more juicy and tender than the breasts. So I have my chicken all trimmed. Now I'm just going to peel some carrots for the one recipe. The rest of the marinades do not have any vegetables in it at all. The honey garlic chicken recipe with the carrots actually goes into the slow cooker. So we made this a couple of weeks ago, and it made 3 different freezer meals, and we ended up giving away the 2 of the freezer meals, one to my mother-in-law and one to my son and his wife, and then we had 1 of them already. So I actually have used all 3 up within just a few weeks. That's rather unusual for me, but we just, I give a lot of my meals to my family members. My father is 88 years old. My mother-in-law, she's 87, so we always give her some of our freezer meals. And then oftentimes when I go down to visit my son and his wife, I bring a couple with me. So I went ahead and peeled my carrots. Now I'm just going to cut the ends off, and then cut them up into certainly not bite-sized pieces, because they're going to be going into the slow cooker, so I don't want them to cook too fast and then end up being mushy, because the rest of the meal, stays in there for 6 to 8 hours. So I usually cut my carrots at an angle. So that's about how big I'd like them. Okay, so that's ready for that freezer meal. So most of the recipes are going to be made into the blender, except for the one with the carrots. So I'm going to go ahead and get that one done first, so that the rest of the time I can just dirty my blender, and then that's all I need to do. So, okay, so for this particular one, for the slow cooker, this is honey garlic chicken, and it takes 2 to 4 boneless chicken breasts. I always slice my chicken breasts in half. So for this one, as I said, it's 2 to 4 chicken breasts. It calls for 3 cloves of garlic minced. I don't have any fresh garlic, so I'm just using the already previously minced garlic. So I put in just 2 tablespoons of that. So then it calls for some dried basil. A teaspoon of that is going in. And a half a cup of soy sauce. A half a cup of ketchup. And then a third a cup of honey. And then, of course, the carrots as well. I'm putting a little bit of salt and pepper to taste. You seal it up, and I usually mash it a little bit just to make sure that all the ingredients are mixed together. Generally, I'll write on my bags before I have the food in them. This one time I did not do that, so you'll see that throughout this video I'm placing my items in the bag and then writing on it. Okay, this next one we're going to make is a creamy Italian dressing, I guess is what this one is, for a marinade. And it calls for, and we really like this, I might double this one actually. This one calls for boneless chicken breasts as well, so it calls for 2 pounds. So I do it toward how many we're actually going to need in a meal. So with Steve and I, oftentimes if I do these split breasts, usually 3 of them makes a good meal for us, and sometimes it's leftovers. If there's ever leftovers of any type of my chicken that we have the night before, I usually almost always make it into chicken salad or something. Ooh, I almost always make it into chicken salad. All right, so I've got 2 going here. I'm going to put 1 cup of mayonnaise in each one. This one, I'm going to just do these right directly into the bag for this particular one. The other ones I'll blend the dressing, because I'm actually making a dressing. These are just more of a marinade. And I'm using just a light mayonnaise, but you can use whatever you'd like. I might not suggest using like a Miracle Whip or something, only because of the sweet flavor that it might give, may mess with the ingredients there. And then it calls for 1 cup of Italian dressing. And normally I would use like a zesty Italian, but I actually bought this by mistake. So I'm putting some garlic powder, a teaspoon in for each, so 2 teaspoons going in. And then it calls for some red pepper flakes, so I'm putting in a little bit, I think it was half a teaspoon of red pepper flakes. And again, just squishing it around in the bag, salt and pepper to taste. Squishing it around in the bag just to sort of mix it up, and then don't do what I did, but write on your bags previously before you put your food in there so that you don't have to dry it off like I had to. Same with the other. Close it up tight, mix it up, and then write on your bag. Okay, so this one calls for 2 pounds of chicken breasts or thighs. So I'll make 2 of these. So 2 pounds, and again, I'm just going to do three of these. Just serving size for Steve and I. 1 cup of buttermilk. Now I did not have regular buttermilk, so I made some with the buttermilk powder and some water. And it's just 1 cup of water with 4 tablespoons of buttermilk powder, and so there's 1, and I've got to just make 1 more. So I'm just mixing it up with this. It's one cup of water and 4 tablespoons of buttermilk powder. I've used it in several different baking recipes before, and it's been fine. I haven't really noticed very much difference, so just whisking it up. Okay, and that one's going in. Okay, I'm going to put half an avocado in each one because I only bought 1 avocado. Just chunking it up into small pieces. Here's where I realized that I really should have mixed this in the blender. So I do take out the chicken and put it into the blender and mix it up because the avocado does need to be blended well into the dressing. Okay, so we're blending the ingredients into the blender. So I did decide to put some regular red and yellow peppers. It called for jalapeno peppers, but Steve and I do not like those, so I just had a few extra red and yellow peppers in my refrigerator, so I just diced them up and put those in. Give it a little extra color and some flavor. It calls for 2 limes juiced, so that's what I'm doing here. I'm getting those ready to halve and then put in my juicer. So the juice of 2 limes going in. A teaspoon of cumin. And I'm going to do 2 teaspoons because I'm doubling the recipe. Tablespoon of garlic. Again, I don't have any fresh garlic, so I'm just using what I have. So I'm going to do 2 tablespoons. A bunch of fresh cilantro. Wash this up. Cilantro going in. There's the bunch of cilantro. And salt and pepper to taste. Because I'm doubling the recipe, just doing 2 pinches. Swear to God, I could probably make a blooper reel every single time I make a video. Let's pick up what I've got here. Get some of these things thrown away. Okay. All right, now, so we're going to blend this up for just a couple of minutes until it's smooth. So I'm going to use some chicken thighs in this last one. I just put 4 chicken thighs in this one, and then these are made with chicken breasts. I definitely have enough marinade for that. I made quite a bit of marinade. Okay, wash this. Rinse this out real quick. Get 3 more done. And again, just sort of mixing it up in the bag and then labeling your bag. I'm getting some bags ready for the next recipe. This one is going to be another chicken marinade, but it is more of a spicy chicken recipe. It calls for chipotles, but I do not put those in this one. I don't know if it's going to come out okay or not. Okay, this next one is going to be a honey spicy chicken thighs. I don't know, we're going to try it. I'm going to put 2 pounds of chicken in each bag, or again, just 4 thighs. One. The rest is going to go into the blender so that we can mix this up, and it calls for olive oil. Okay, so this next one calls for a third cup of olive oil in each one, so I'm making 2. I'm just going to do 2/3 cup of olive oil here. Quarter cup of honey, so I'm going to do measure, but I don't. Do 2 of these. So it calls for 2 limes juiced. I do not have any more limes. I should have bought 4 limes. I'm just going to put in some lemon juice and hope for the best. I'm not going to put in quite as much, but a teaspoon of chili powder. And again, I'm doubling it. Of sweet paprika, teaspoon of cumin, a 1/2 teaspoon measure, and doubling it, so 2 teaspoons of cumin, oregano, 2 teaspoons of that, 2 tablespoons of onion powder. Garlic cloves. Again, I do not have any garlic, but I for sure So I realized here that I did not have any more fresh cilantro, so we're just going with it. We're gonna just try this new one anyways, so we'll see. Okay, so we'll go with that. Put some salt and pepper in there. This one is done. Just pour it into that marinade seemed quite thick. So we'll see how that comes out. I'm getting ready for the next recipe. Okay, the last two recipes are a Greek chicken and then a Caesar chicken, which both of these I think will probably be favorites with us. I have about 6 chicken split breasts and probably about 10 thighs or so, maybe 3. So I'm gonna make 2 of the Greek chicken and then 3 of the Caesar. So 2 pounds chicken breasts in each bag. I've got to wash my hands. Okay, so for this one, you have 2 pounds of chicken, breast or thighs, and I'm doubling the recipe. So 1/2 cup of neutral oil. So this is asking for neutral oil, so I think I'm going to use avocado oil instead of olive oil. Much more neutral flavored oil, so it really doesn't give off a strong flavor. So I do need 1 whole cup because I am doubling the recipe. There. Okay. 3 tablespoons of wine vinegar. Okay, so 3 tablespoons. So I've got to do 6 tablespoons of the wine vinegar. I did not have white wine vinegar, so I'm putting in red wine vinegar. Lemon juice. Calls for 2 lemons, and I don't have any, so I'm just using lemon juice. 10. A tablespoon of fresh garlic. Again, I don't have any fresh garlic. I'm sure that would be better, but I'm just going to use chopped garlic. A tablespoon, I'm doubling it, so oregano. 1 teaspoon of oregano, and I'm doubling it. 2 teaspoons. A cup of dill. I don't have any fresh dill, so a 1/4 cup of fresh dill. I think I'll just go ahead and now you don't need as much dill weed as fresh dill for sure. And salt and pepper to taste, and that is it on this one. All right. Greek chicken is done. Smells good. This is a new one. I've never tried this one before. So I'm just going to split this up between the two. And then wash up my blender for one last time. I probably could have tripled or even quadrupled that particular recipe so that it would have had more marinade juice in it, but I'm going to hope for the best that it'll taste okay. But here I'm just getting the air out of the bags and writing on my labels. I am anxious to try this. I do love Greek food, and especially Greek salads. I eat them all the time, so I'm anxious to try this one. So this last one is going to be my Caesar chicken. Definitely would be a favorite for us, I'm sure. Getting my bags ready. I'm going to do 3 of these. Using the thighs, chicken thighs for this one. I didn't quite have enough, so I just split that last one to make it a meal. Getting my blender all rinsed up and ready for the last marinade. So the first thing it calls for is olive oil. It calls for 1/2 cup of olive oil. Of course, I'm doubling it. Actually, I'm tripling it, so I'm doing 1.5 cups of olive oil. And then it calls for 1/2 cup of lemon juice, so I am going to go ahead and do 1.5 cups of lemon juice. And then 1/2 cup of Parmesan cheese. So of course, 1.5 cups of that. Calls for 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce, so I'm doing 6 tablespoons. 1 teaspoon of garlic powder. 1 teaspoon, so I'm going to do 3 teaspoons, so 6 of these. And then salt, pepper to taste. I'm going to pour the marinade into the bags. If I was making this Caesar salad as a dressing, I would have mixed all of the ingredients except the oil into the blender and then turned the blender on and slowly poured in my oil. But since it's a marinade, it can all be mixed together. It's going to be in the freezer anyways. Just going to clean up my mess here. Get my bags closed up. Make sure I get all of the air out of them. And then I'm going to write on my label. So here's a look at all of my freezer meals. Ended up making 2 of the Greek, 3 of the chicken Caesar, 2 of the spicy chicken, 2 of the creamy Italian chicken, 1 of the chicken and carrots with the honey garlic, and then 3 of the buttermilk avocado chicken. And then I ended up pulling out a lasagna freezer meal out of the freezer this morning so that we could cook that up for dinner. And I thank you so much for coming, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and tune in to some other ones and like and subscribe if you would.